Well, here we go. I've been getting all prepped, and I realized I was getting almost nervous. And I was like, well, that's new, because I'm pretty comfortable doing this, Doing this stuff for a year now. You get used to it. Not a problem, right? And every now and then, maybe I'm walking into an album, maybe it's a new artist, and I'm like, oh, this will be different, and so, okay, what's that really going to be like? But I was sitting here thinking about, well, what am I going to say and how am I going to say it? And it's like, dude, just get over it. Just do it. It's fine. There are people who are going to see this list and go, this is the stupidest list I've ever seen. There's other people are going to go, this is a great list. You're absolutely right. Like, it doesn't matter. And what's neat is I've learned this in the last year of how arguing over albums and artists and songs and stuff like that, it's a little bit more than just arguing. I used to think that's what it was. People just arguing. But no, it's an interesting way of people expressing how much they enjoy an artist or a song or an album, and the challenge and the fun of trying to define and organize and list something so subjective, Before I get into the list, I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, I fully acknowledge and am aware of the fact that I'm using a fucking PowerPoint presentation, and that's just the most like boomer thing ever, right? I'm not technically a boomer, but I know. I get it. I agree. We're just going to ignore that. I will say, however, I'm very proud of my hand-drawn numbers. And there's even more. I should have drawn pictures, but I was going to start going down that rabbit hole, but I knew it was really just procrastination, distraction, trying to avoid actually doing the list in the video, right? So there's that. And then really, I want everybody to understand, before I start talking about these albums, this is not a top 10 albums that I thought were the best. Okay? This is very important. I feel like there are people who have a hard time kind of grasping this sometimes. These are the albums I enjoyed the most fun. I just really either impressed me or gave me a great experience or whatever. These are not the albums that I thought were the best from a lyrical standpoint. Well, I mean, that's going to play into it. And I'll talk about, after this, I'll talk about what my criteria is for a top 10. But not the best in terms of like the best beats or the best rap skill or the best, like no. This is how much, these are the albums I enjoyed. And for people who can't like separate those two things, this is an example I always get. The original Ghostbusters movie is probably one of my favorite movies ever. Like if I had to make a list, that's in the top 3 of my favorite movies ever. Now, I'm not going to make an argument that it's the best movie ever. There's a difference there. The Ghostbusters is never going to get an Academy Award or anything like that, right? Like, no, that's not the kind of movie that it is. But what it is, I really, really, really enjoy. And it does it so well. And, if to contrast that, what I would say one of the best movies that I've seen is No Country for Old Men. I love that movie. And I know people who hate that movie. They think it's like really boring. They don't understand why I like it. And I mean, it's too bad that they're just so wrong. But compare those two movies. The original Ghostbusters, something I enjoy the most, to No Country for Old Men, and something I think is probably the best, the most well done. Very different experiences. So there you go. This is not, and really too, I wanted to do a list that was my most enjoyed rather than the ones that I think are the best. Because if it's the ones that are the best, it's going to look like every other list out there, right? You have to have these certain albums in there because those are the best albums and everyone acknowledges it. And if you go outside of that, paradigm, then no, you're just wrong. You don't understand. So there's that. Getting into my criteria of a perfect album, I think this is important because this plays a factor in it. And anyway, I like how I'll take the time to say I'm going to talk about that. What are we all here for? We know you're going to talk, Bob. Don't take the time. And now I'm going to explain it. Okay, anyway. Here's my 3 criteria for what makes an album a 10, okay? Number 1, pretty obvious, no skips. With the exception of filler tracks and weird little, skits or whatever, right? Like, if it's not a song, if it's just a filler thing or a skit, that doesn't count as skipping over that. No skips, obviously. That's number 1. Number 2, you can listen to this album at any time. At any time. No matter your mood, no matter where you are, time of day, whatever. Yep, you're going to put that one on? Yep, I can listen to it. Number 3, and this is one I think is I don't know. I don't hear people say this much, but this is very important to me. This is what really pushes it to a 10. When you put this album on, you don't turn it off until it completes. Now, I don't mean, if you pull up in the parking lot and there's still 4 songs left, you just sit there in the parking lot. No. You don't remove the album or put something else on until that album completes. That to me, if you have an album that does that, no skips, listen to it any time, and you listen to it from beginning to end, that's a perfect album. Well, perfect, 10, whatever, call it a 10. What is not a criteria for me is I listen to it all the time. Some of my favorite albums, some of my 10s, I maybe listen to them 3 or 4 times a year. I don't put them on that much. And I'm starting to realize, I think it's kind of almost like a method of preserving my enjoyment for it. Because if I did listen to them all the time, maybe I'd get sick of them. Maybe I would start skipping songs. Maybe I would turn it off halfway through, So it's like, no. I found something that's magical. I want to keep it magical. So there's that. Now, my criteria for this in terms of, okay, how am I going to rate it based off of how much I enjoyed it rather than what I thought was the best? That top 10 or that 10 criteria is part of it. And part of it, too, is just the experience I had with the album. So certain albums, well, let's just get into the list. We'll get into the list, I guess, because now I'm just stalling again. First I was stalling making the video. Now I'm stalling in the video, which is just awful. Okay, let's fucking dive into my amazing PowerPoint presentation here. Can I click it? If I click it once, is it gonna, because this isn't the active screen, is it gonna click over? No. Okay. All right. Number 10. I don't really know what to say about it other than I think it's an excellent album. And it was cool to hear this album before Mr. Earl and the Big Steppers because the message that existed on it I felt was very strong and very important. And it was cool to see this guy opening up and pushing those boundaries. A lot of the things that people have talked to me about when it comes to other artists, like Kid Cudi, Mac Miller, Frank Ocean, these artists that really explore different spaces, emotional spaces and stuff like that. I think it's very positive. I think it's positive. And so to hear this guy sing about what he did on some of these songs in this album and to have such great beats going along with it, he bumped out a couple people. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to make him in the top 10, but he made it. So without further ado, because I'm already taking a long ass time, number 10 is Melt My Eyez, See Your Future by Denzel Curry. Really good. Really good. And I kind of stirred up some shit last time on the last video with my top 10 tracks where I said he was kind of underrated. I think Denzel Curry, this album absolutely needs to be considered for Album of the Year. I'm not saying it is Album of the Year. I'm not saying it's going to be Album of the Year. But it absolutely needs to be considered, in my opinion. There's no question. There's a fantastic album. Some of the songs on there are so good, like Mental, X-Wing. I don't have the track list up. I should pull that shit up. Maybe I will edit this. Troubles was so fucking good. This is a fantastic album. I've got so many hearts next to all these tracks. There's only a couple. Like the only one I don't have a heart next to is The Smell of Death. And I remember that one it's almost like an interlude kind of a thing. Ain't No Way was fucking killer. John Wayne was great. Melt Session 1, Walking. This is a fantastic album. And I encourage anybody who feels like, it wasn't that great, or if you only listen to it maybe once or twice, give it one more. Give it one more go. Just let it play. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's how it is for everybody. But great album. Okay. Number 9. Number 9. Recently listened to. And I feel like number 9 is a great accumulation. Not accumulation. Summarization. Finalization. I got to talk rather than just trying to think of words. Number 9 is so much of this artist's discography worked into one piece. And I've been going through this guy's music for a while, and he's an incredible artist. And it's been interesting following this guy's own personal journey through his music, watching his life change through his music, watching him change through his music, his fucking music. I mean, it's been really incredible. Really incredible. And especially, too, considering, his public image is not that great. It's not that great. It gets a little rough. And I know I've talked to people who said, you listen to him? I go, yeah, he makes great music. But he's a fucking, like, this and that and blah, blah, blah. Well, he has his episodes. And he'll do some crazy shit out in public and on Twitter. But I kind of don't hold too much of it against him, because literally it seems like there are industries built on just following this guy and everything that he does and trying to piss him off so that he can, flip out and they can just, make money off of it. You guys are probably afraid I'm talking about Kanye. And since I said it's recent, probably understand it is The Life of Pablo at number 9. The Life of Pablo is such a great representation musically of Kanye. It really is. And these themes of doubt that exist in the album were really interesting to me. That last song too, man, St. Pablo, to close on that song. Oh my God. I'm so glad I heard this way after it came out and not during this whole revised rollout process where it didn't have St. Pablo and tracks were getting changed and whatever, because if I had heard this album without St. Pablo, I don't think it carries the weight it would have had. I mean, it still would have been a good album, but it has to have that closer. That is such a punctuation mark on the entire experience. And the themes that are going through it, this guy, man, poor Kanye, just constantly getting torn between these two worlds and trying to wrestle with that. It's been interesting, man, watching this guy going through his music. Okay, anyway. Number 8. Let's move into number 8. I think, well, I can't say that because it hasn't been, I'm trying to drop hints without just giving it away, right? Fantastic album. Really surprising to me in terms of the amount of musical variety that exists, the lyrical skill, the writing skill that exists in this album. Great storytelling, great openness, kind of emotional, just honest, open. God, how else can I hint at it without really saying it? What I like too is how the album musically is kind of all over the place. It's almost like a compilation of greatest hits or something like that, because some of the sounds are so much different from each other. Well, I'll just say what it is. Number 8 for me is Little Simz. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. Great rapper, great album. It kind of hurts me to put this one at number 8 because I look at the rest and I go, well, no, yeah. And again, it really kind of comes from an enjoyment thing. I really enjoyed this album quite a bit. I like the fact that they did so much live music and live orchestration. It was so cool watching her Tiny Desk performance and seeing all these musicians in there playing with her. And that song, I Love You, I Hate You, is fantastic. Standing Ovation's fantastic. Protect My Energy is cool. This weird, super 80s vibe out of nowhere. Really good album. I'm glad so many people pushed it and kept telling me, you got to listen to this one, you got to listen to this one. This album makes me very interested to hear Dave, who's also another UK artist. Was it Psychodrama? And there's another one. Somebody else just messaged me the other day, another one. I forget. There's all these album names that's constantly flying through my head. Little Simz is a great rapper. And I love her. I just love her style too. There's something about her style, just laid back, kind of casual, really focused on the music and the art and not so much, the flash and the attention and stuff like that. I feel like Little Simz is the type of person you could just sit down with and she would just kick back and chill and talk. And, she wouldn't need an entourage. She wouldn't want all these people taking photos. Like, it would just be, she's probably just a normal, regular person, Okay. There you go. All right. Number 7. Number 7 is very special. Well, this is going to give it away. But it was the first full album reaction that I did. And that is a kind of a bias for me because that was an experience. So how that kind of factored into how I enjoyed the album. And I remember being so nervous because I had just gotten through a bulk of this guy's work. Obviously, if it's the first album reaction, you know who the artist is because who was I doing first, right? And I remember thinking, this guy's, I'm working through chronologically and his music is improving. He's getting better. He's definitely evolving and growing. And he's got this new album out. That's cool. And people want me to do the whole album. Okay, fine. But I was so nervous because it's, at that point I was only doing singles for Tyler. And when people recommend singles, they recommend the good songs, right? They don't recommend the bad songs. And so I was like, well, fuck. When I go through the whole album, what if it's not that great of an album? Or what if the singles that he makes are pretty good, but the singles that aren't that good are really kind of bad, So I remember filling up my mug full of beer and having the whole mug with me as like a crutch to try and get through it because I was nervous. It's very nervous. But fortunately for us all, Call Me If You Get Lost turned out to be a fantastic album. It won Grammy, right, for Album of the Year. Not that matters because the Grammys are shit, but very happy that he got his award. Anyway, it's well deserved. It's an excellent album. It's got my favorite Tyler track on there with Massa. What's the other one? Thought You Wanted to Dance is fantastic. There's that second or third one. I don't have it open. I'm not going to say, well, fuck it. I'll type it up. One thing that's funny is going through so much music and then forgetting tracks because I'm just going through so much music. Corso, that's a great jam. What's Your Name? Lumberjack, Hot Wind Blows. Mama Talk always cracks me up. That's probably my favorite little interlude filler track I've ever heard. I love that one. And then drops right into Rise, which is amazing. And then Wilshire too, man. Wilshire, great song. Call Me If You Get Lost is great. The music is beautiful. There's all these instruments and sounds and things like that happening. Fantastic album. Really enjoyed that one. And it was cool to get to experience that one kind of in the real time. I don't know. I don't really remember if I listened to it like right when it dropped or maybe it was shortly after or something like that. But it was really the first one I experienced in real time. Although at that point, I wasn't so ingrained with the community, so I didn't get to have kind of a community experience. But still a fantastic album, without a doubt, in my mind. Number 6. Number 6. I don't even know where to begin. This artist, I think I even said in the additional thoughts, I feel like this artist is more creative than Tyler, the Creator. And I don't say that to try and be a pun. I say that because I really have a lot of respect and regard for Tyler, the Creator, because of how much he has evolved over time. But this dude, man, I've never heard anything like this. And I continue to be impressed. I've only heard 2 albums. I've got one more. You guys know who it is. But man, I've had so much fun listening to the JPEGMAFIA and Cornballs. Cornballs is so amazing. So amazing. And the thing I like about Cornballs is that it's veteran with just like a bit of a breath, Like I loved Veteran, but Cornballs, he just feels a little looser. I mean, look at that fucking album cover. Oh my God. Oh my God. I love it. The look in his eyes. Look at him. I love JPEGMAFIA. I really do. Great artist. Great music. Just so unique and different and open and just fucking cool, man. Really, really cool. I'm looking forward to his collaboration with Danny Brown. That's going to be a lot of fun. Triple X was a cool album. Haven't gotten to AE yet, but yeah, Cornballs at number 6 is very easy for me to stand by. I'm very comfortable with that. I almost inched it higher, but that's about where it settled. It actually was a little bit lower at one point, but then actually listened to it again today, and I was like, no, this needs to be higher because there's so many tracks. I have Hearts Next to You. So many tracks. I guess that's it. Yeah, there's number 6. Roll it into number 5. Number 5 was a very similar experience to Cornball, and you'll see why very soon. It was one of the biggest mind trips I've ever been on. It was such an auditory journey. I was so captivated. And even though this album is darker and it's angrier and it's frustrated, it was such a ride. And this album only beats out Cornballs because my initial experience to date has been my favorite one. It's been my favorite initial listening experience to all the albums I've heard so far. Which is, of course, it's JPEGMAFIA again at number 5 with Veteran. Now, here's a nice example of what I would say the difference between something I enjoy versus something I think is better. I think Cornballs is better than Veteran. I really do. Now, maybe it's because it seems more accessible or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like he's having more fun on that album. I feel like it's a little bit easier to listen to. I honestly don't go back to Veteran that often, but when I do, god damn. It's such a trip. It just grabs me by the ear and says, oh, here we go. And I'm swept away by it. And, you know, just some of my personal bias of that first experience of hearing this shit, man, I've never heard of anything like it. I kind of, in a way, I almost hope I never will, because I like the idea that Veteran just exists in its own little spot with my first experience. Great album. I still remember cracking up just over the drawing for the track of I Can't Wait Till Morrissey Dies. That crude drawing of him pissing in his mouth. It's amazing. And it's such a great little summary of everything I love about JPEGMAFIA. Oh, God. Okay. There you go. So there's your bottom 5. Moving into the top 5. Now, for those of you who saw my Veteran experience, and maybe it was on the reaction or maybe it was the additional thoughts, I don't know. But I likened Veteran to a dark version of this album. And this album at number 4, when I was first thinking about my top 10 albums for the first year and what I enjoyed the most, you know, keeping my criteria for a 10 album in mind of no skips, listen to it at any time, play it all the way through. I was like, shit, this album's kind of a 10 for my criteria. And I thought maybe this might be my number 1. It might be my number 1. And I initially put it there, but then things settled down a little bit and it came down to 4. But 4 is still a great spot for it because it's an amazing album. And it was really one of the first albums that showed me some of the range that exists in hip hop. Did it early in the channel. This was before Veteran. But it's a great album. And then what was really cool too is hearing so many people talk about how much this album just helped them. Like people would just listen to it and go through their shit. And it was like Frank Ocean was there with them. Number 4 is Blonde. Phenomenal album. Every now and then I put it on and I'm like, God, it's so good. Actually, I was listening to it this morning. I went for a jog earlier and I had on Cornballs because I was just trying to check, like, am I actually comfortable? Is it Am I romanticizing albums? Other people are talking about, there's like the recency bias, whatever you've heard recently, you remember more of it, so therefore you like it more and you think it's better than the other stuff. I threw on Blonde. I was like, no, this is a great album. Great album. So many songs on there that are great. Pink and White, I love. Solo Reprise, of course, was my #1 favorite track so far in the first year. Siegfried's incredible. White Ferrari's incredible. Ivy's incredible. Night, killer change up on Nights when it flips over. And just the story inside of it, this guy struggling with his sexuality, was struggling with, who he is versus who he thinks he's supposed to be. It's a phenomenal album. Really enjoyed Blonde. So glad I got to hear it and experience it. And because of that, I'm glad today during the marble racing that Channel Orange won a spot for July, because now I finally get to listen to that one as well. And that's going to be nice. Okay. Moving on to number 3. You guys are going to be upset with me. Initially, I didn't even have this on the list. I mean, I threw it up. Somebody told me about Topster, where you can put, you can make the grids, and that helped a lot, just being able to slide albums around. And I had thrown it on the grid, and I was moving stuff around inside my top 10 and moving stuff around inside my top, and I was like, oh yeah, this one. And it was, I think Rolling Stone had it pretty high on their fucked up 200 list. I think it sounds like they got their top 10 okay, so that's nice at least. And I was like, I need to put this one on again. It's been a little while. I need to put it on. And when I opened it up, I looked and realized, oh, there's hearts next to basically every single track. Huh, okay. But it's been a while. Put it on, gave it a listen. Oh, yeah, this song. Oh, yeah, this song. Oh, yeah, this song. Oh, shit. This is a great album. So then I started moving it up in the grid. And I'm sure most of you have played with Topster where you're moving things around and it just kept slipping higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And that's how Simbi ended up so low at 8. I mean, if you call that low. Anyway, number 3 is, of course, the Wu-Tang Clan. 36 Chambers. Fucking phenomenal album. Just the idea, and I always think of Adam when I listen to these guys, this album too, just because this idea of, the clan is here. Clan in the front, clan in the back, and then the killer bees are coming and protect your neck and just, fuck, man. It's so good. And it's cool that, RZA's doing all the beats and all these guys are dropping in with their verses. And it's just fucking excellent. It's an excellent album. In the fact that I have hearts next to every single track, that's very telling. And then 2, I was kind of thinking about it the other day. This album for me might fall into my 10 criteria, but then I thought, well, I don't know. I think just because I haven't listened to it enough, I've listened to it a decent amount, but I need to listen to it more, because I feel like if I get to a point where if I can just spill out the track listing right by memory, if I can have listened to it enough at that point, I probably would get to the point where I wouldn't want to turn it off until it finished. It's got to play all the way through. 36 Chambers, killer album. Number 2. Now, number 2, everyone's going to be mad because on my additional thoughts for Damn, I said Damn is Kendrick's best album. And obviously that was before Mr. Morale, right? Because I was doing that to get ready for that release. But everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He thinks it's the best one. And I can't remember if I said I think it was his best album or if I liked it the most. I can't remember. I feel like I said I thought it was his best one. And Damn was an interesting experience because when I finished my first reaction, when I got done with that recording, I thought, oh shit, I don't like it. But it grew on me. Now I say that because this album did not grow on me. This album immediately captivated me. And I think this album was huge because it showed me how much storytelling exists in rap, how much emotion can exist in rap. Fuck, I'm almost crying thinking about it. Hold on, give me just 1 second. I'm okay. I'm just getting a little too caught up in it. it really surprised me. It really caught me off guard how well done this album was. And what was so cool for me was experiencing the album and going through the lyrics. And as the story unfolds, realizing, oh, this guy's caught up in this shit. There's no celebration here. There's no glorification like you would assume if you're an outsider to rap, which I still was at the time, you know? So if you're a casual listener, you'd hear it and go, oh, they're just talking about drinking alcohol and shooting each other and whatever, right? No, it's not at all. That's why number 2 is Good Kid, Mad City. I'm still getting emotional over it, man. It's those voicemails from his parents. And it really, 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 God, it really pulled me in. I'm honestly, I'm really surprised that I'm getting stirred up like this right now, because I've listened to this album a lot and I've experienced it a lot and I'm fully aware of everything that's happening in it. But yeah, when I think about it from that perspective as a parent, man, fuck. Anyway, here's a great example of something I enjoy more than something I think is maybe technically better. And I think I still kind of stand by my feelings on Damn being a little bit better than Good Kid, Mad City, just in terms of what's going on there. But my experience with this album, my emotional connection with this album, that's what puts this one at number 2 and not Damn. Yeah, there you go. Huh. I'm surprised. Not embarrassed. Just surprised that I still get stirred up over Good Kid, Mad City. That's cool, though. That's a good sign to me. That's a good sign. That's a good album that does that. Number 1. Number 1, I feel very happy with, because I feel like even the people who might be upset with me for saying, oh, he's going to do the ones he likes the most, not the best. What a bitch-ass way to avoid, something like that. Right. Because I feel like number 1 can still exist as a number 1 in a this is the best album category as well, like if you approach it from that way. Number 1 to me is a no-brainer. Honestly, as much as I love Good Kid, Mad City, and as much as it still touches me today, literally, there's kind of quite a bit of distance between this album and Good Kid, Mad City in terms of like number 1 and number 2. There's some space there. Number 1 really helped me understand rap from a technical standpoint, from a lyrical structure, rhyming scheme, flow standpoint. In this album, the experience I had with it, one of the things that was so magical was finally going through and watching those videos where they highlight the words and you can see the rhyming structure. And it made me realize why rap, people have a hard time understanding what's going on. It's because you can't see it. Like I've said with, people who play the guitar or play the drums, where you can watch a musician do something amazing and not know what's going on, but visually you can see something impressive happening. You can't watch somebody's mouth while they're rapping and go, oh, wow, that's really impressive. You can't. It takes a different set of skills, different tools to understand what's happening. This guy does it so well. I've got a shirt. I've got a sticker on my car. He is by far the most comfortable rapper while also being the most skilled, in my opinion. He's got the coolest songs. He's got the coolest beats, although he didn't make the beats on this album. But without a doubt, in my opinion, my number 1 favorite album so far has been Madvillainy. Just so much fun. It's so much fun to listen to, man. I love it. And this really does fall into a 10 category for me, where I can listen to it at any time. I don't skip a single song, and I play it all the way through, without question. Great album. And I think, I like that this is my favorite, and it's also kind of nice that, it could be held up for argument as one of the greatest of all time. Because I've gone to some of the websites, there's a couple where you can rate them, or, community people rate them and stuff, and it's always up there because it's an excellent album. And I'm very excited that in July, in a couple of weeks, I'll be doing food. And what's even more fun is my wife enjoys this album as well, and so she's so excited about the next one because she likes to cook and she likes food. And so she's like, yeah, oh, I can't wait. I want to hear him rap about food. Oh, man. Good old MF Doom. Okay. There's my top 10. Now, with my top 10 tracks, people were like, you should have did more or did some honorable mentions. And so I am going to get into some honorable mentions here. I continued my wonderful slides. Pushing the boundaries. So here's an honorable mention. It didn't make my top 10. It was considered. But really, this album kind of exists in a different spot in the sense that it really pushed my boundaries in terms of listening to these kinds of lyrics in this kind of delivery, this kind of music as well. And it was early in the channel, so it was kind of jarring to listen to it, and it really threw me off. But it was fun at the same time. I liked that experience of, okay, well, just listen to it. Because it really made me take my attempt of being open-minded and pushed it. Like, okay. And what's really cool is as I listened to it, I got into it and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I still do. I put it on every now and then. Not a lot, but a Whole Lot of Red, man. A Whole Lot of Red's a cool album. It was a great experience. And it was a great experience for me in terms of the channel because the community, the fans of this album were huge. And I crossed paths with Scout. And Scout put me in that fucking awesome edit that he made, which was so cool. And that to date, that's still my biggest video. Whole Lot of Red is by far my most viewed video. It's probably going to cross 1 million at some point. I mean, it's not that far off, it kind of blows me away. But Whole Lot of Red, man, very cool album. Neat tracks. I like how the tracks just go, stop, and then right into the next one. Because when it does that, you can just listen to it on loop, and it just keeps going and going and going. I look forward to what Playboi Carti puts out next. Hopefully it's somewhat soon, because it feels like, this has already been over a year, I think. Good album. Good times. I like that one. What do we got next? Oh, yeah. My Like Fine Wine honorable mention. In this album, I feel like I heard it too early. I can understand why it was suggested so often and why people said, you got to listen to it, And I totally agree. But it's been an album that I think when I first listened to it, I wasn't really ready to appreciate it. And so what I've been doing is I go back actually, I need to listen to it again. It's been a little while. But about every 8 weeks, I put it on and listen to it. And every time I put it on, I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know, as my journey continues and as I hear all these different artists and I kind of learn about lyrical flow and I kind of learn about beats and I learn about producers and I learn about, as my own ear expands and knowledge expands and I go back to this album, I go, yeah, I get it. I can see why this is such a big fucking deal, because it is a big deal. That album is, of course, Illmatic. Illmatic is a masterpiece. It really is. And I don't say that to try and like fit in with the community or say what you're supposed to say because you can't disagree with it. Like, no, man. Every time I listen to it, after I give it some time and listen to it, listen to it, it's better. It's better every time. It is a great album. It's just, it's got everything. It's got great rhythm, great message, great story. It's concise. It's not bloated. It's not like, it's a 14-track album and it could have been 11, maybe. Like, no. It says everything it needs to say exactly. It takes the amount of time it needs to say it, and then it's done, and it's great. It's a great, great album. Moving on. What do we got next? Most unappreciated. That might sound a little weird. What that means is, I feel like this album, when I heard it at that time, I wasn't able to really grasp what was going on. And it might sound like Illmatic would have been that, but this one more so, because this one, there's two problems when I heard this album. First, I really didn't have any understanding of production and what high quality production sounded like versus, something else. I didn't have an understanding of what it meant for an artist to focus on production and make that their thing, And I wasn't listening with headphones. And I still haven't gone back and listened to this whole thing with headphones. Every now and then I'll put on some singles And I do like the singles, and it does sound amazing. But definitely still, I think to this day, it's my most unappreciated album. And I feel badly for the fans because they've been cool and they want me to do another one and I want to do another one. But this album, Rodeo, very good album. But I just wasn't ready to understand what was going on yet, I think. And I do recall enjoying it, but I also recall struggling with it. And I think it was just because, I didn't really understand, I don't know, the amount of effort that goes into production, or just the quality and the smoothness and the richness that was in the production. Maybe, you know what? I'm going to put it on today. I'm going to put it on. When I'm done with this video, I'm going to put this on with headphones. Nobody's here, so I can do that and really give Rodeo a fair listen. It deserves it. Yeah, and there you go. Most eye-opening. And this is in terms of my own experience with, preconceived ideas about rappers, misconceptions, prejudices, whatever you want to call it. All of those things, really. It's all of those things. Listen to this guy in his music, in his interviews, and realizing, Jesus, dude, just being completely wrong on all counts. Now, I'm not trying to say this guy was the best person to ever live and, he never did anything wrong. No, none of that. But it really was shocking to me to listen to his album, listen to his interviews, and realize, holy fuck, like, I agree with everything this guy's saying. And remembering back when I was a teenager, when he was big and just basically being a hater for reasons that weren't even my own idea, And it still scares me because it shows how effective media is, and it shows how effective persuasion over time is when you just keep saying the same thing, and then people slowly start to believe it as true, even though it's not true. This album is obviously Tupac, Me Against the World. Tupac was amazing. Great rapper, obviously, but there was so much more that was going on there than just rapping. And it, in a way, it kind of makes me sad. I mean, I don't know if that sounds like bullshit, but it makes me sad to think back and remember what I thought about this guy and how just on all accounts it was wrong. It bums me out, and it's not like it really matters. It's not like we would have met or anything, it's not like it matters, but it just bums me out to think that's how I felt about someone who today I now completely agree with. So there you go. And I have this is kind of a special honorable mention. My most underrated album, as in the album I have reacted to that I feel has gone completely under the radar, which might sound odd, right? Because you guys are making these recommendations and suggestions. So how the hell can it go under the radar if I'm reacting to stuff that people are recommending to me? Because this one was not recommended. This one I stumbled upon. I don't remember exactly how it happened. I think maybe they contacted me or something like that. But I'm going to ask everyone who's watching this channel, like I'm going to go sit and listen to Rodeo. You don't have to do it today, but please, sometime soon, go listen to Richie Russo, Make Believe. Please. If you like Mac Miller, please listen to this album. Now, I'm not saying you're going to love it. You might not even like it. There's going to be a couple songs for sure that you're going to enjoy. I know for sure you will. But man, when I crossed paths with these guys, and they said, I think they messaged me about doing a reaction. And I remember, okay, because I had done some experiences like that, and some people have contacted me through this year and had me listen to some of their stuff. And, okay, yeah, it needs a little bit of work. I remember putting this shit on, and it just so happened that when I put it on, I wasn't really thinking it was going to be that great, so I wasn't paying close attention, and everybody was here, so even if I was paying close attention, I was still distracted. And I remember going through, I think, like the first 5 or 6 songs and going, what? This is fucking good. This is really good. How was nobody listening to this, And I was so excited that I was distracted and not listening, because then I could do a reaction and it would still be authentic for the most part. Please check this album out. Really good album. I'm not saying you're going to love it, but it deserves a listen. Everybody who watches this channel, the music that you enjoy, this deserves a listen. And if you're into it, cool. Then you found another guy who's new. And if you're not, life goes on. There you go. Which takes us to, of course, the last but not the least album. I have to talk about this. Everyone's waiting for it. Everyone's probably surprised it's not my top 10, because how could that be that Mr. Morale and the Bag Steppers is not in my top 10? Does that mean I didn't enjoy it? No, of course not. I did enjoy it quite a bit. The thing that's interesting to me about this album is I feel like it's a meteor impact, right? But it's like watching a meteor impact in super slow motion. So we've seen it hit, but now we need to see everything that comes from it. And I was talking to someone, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember when it was. God, I feel like it was on a conversation. I feel like there's going to be somebody, some kid who's 14, 15, 16, listening to this album, and 10 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, this album is going to cause that artist, he, she, whatever, to churn out something incredible. I feel like this album is going to be inspiration for so much more down the road. Because it's remarkable. It's really, really remarkable. And I am still very much of the opinion that it's Kendrick's final album. I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I think it's his last one. He'll probably do features. He'll probably do stuff. I'm sure he'll still be active in the music business to some extent. But I don't think he's doing it anymore. And if he doesn't, if this is his final album, holy shit, man. Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, and Mr. Morale. That's incredible. That's an incredible, incredible musical catalog to have. Great writer. You know, Mad Villainy and MF Doom. MF Doom is my favorite rapper. When it comes to rapping, his style, his casualness, he's just so cool. And he's so loose and comfortable and just fun to listen to. But when it comes to writing, I think Kendrick is the best writer. There's other artists out there that write as well. You know, I haven't heard Ka, and apparently he's a great writer. I haven't heard Lupe Fiasco. Apparently he's a great writer. There's some others out there as well that people have mentioned. But man, Kendrick does it so well. So well. And there's that aspect. And then, of course, everything that he says in this album and at the end closing out, you know, basically saying, I got to take care of myself, man. I hope that he does. I really, really hope that he does. He deserves it. He deserves it, man. He needs some fucking downtime. It sounds like he's been getting some lately, but yeah, you can't please everybody, man, and you can't save the world. Though try as you might, you just can't do it, my friend. Great album, great artist. Definitely. Still very happy with the idea that Crown being my top 3 favorite track of all time. And I just like to picture Kendrick Lamar, Pink Floyd, and Tool hanging out together, like in my little, you know, special club of favorite artists. Because that's really good company. That's really good company. There you go. There's my top 10. It's been a great ride. It's a great ride. And it's been fun reviewing this and looking back this last year, or this last couple of weeks. And then today doing the marble race and having 40 albums, on a list of 40 albums that are still incredible, that I still want to hear. And then having people on the live stream comment, where's this? Where's that? How come no... Like, I have 40 albums in the marble racing, and there's probably 40 more I could still put in there as contenders. Like, I have a lot of music in front of me, which is great. I mean, obviously from a YouTube creating content standpoint, but just for the journey, man, like I'm excited. I've got a lot more to go through, a lot of road to travel, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Going forward, like second year, you know, top 10 tracks, top 10 albums. I don't know what I'm going to do in terms, like, I don't know if I'm going to say, okay, this was top 10 from the year or total. Like, do I go through and change, you know, rearrange the list or what? I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't decided. I don't need to decide. I got about a year to figure that out. So that's cool. Anyway, there you go. Cheers, y'all. And thanks everybody for watching and being part of the journey and the community and everything. It's been so much fun. It's been so much fun, man. It's been fantastic. I know I say it all the time, but the reason why is because it's true. We'll see ya. Take care.